The Testament is in production. The TV show is going to be brought to life, so Aunt Lydia has to survive season 6. But how in the world is she going to turn from what she is right now into an ally to Mayday? Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back. My name is Joe and I review all of your favorite TV shows on this channel, and that is not a lie. And today I'm going to be talking to you about Aunt Lydia. I am so beyond curious to know how they're going to do this transition. And I think by this point, everyone knows that it has to include Janine. However, the theory that I see swimming around more often is that Janine is going to die, and this is what's going to motivate Aunt Lydia to, turn against Gilead and join the revolution, join Mayday, join the Mockingjay. I've seen it a couple times. Someone has left a comment in my video about it, and I have a problem with it. Okay, I have a problem with it. But first, let's talk about who Aunt Lydia is. If you watched my previous theory video about Nick, this is going to have a similar structure minus the trailer breakdowns, because I'm just focusing on Aunt Lydia for now. First, I want to talk about who she is and how she got to where she got. Listen, we don't have that much information. There is some stuff from the Testaments. I didn't read the Testaments. I probably will not read the Testaments because I learned my lesson with reading sequels to these classic books when I read the sequel to Kill a Mockingbird. Never again. However, I did read a summary, so I know that Aunt Lydia is an ally to Mayday in the Testaments, and we also learn from the Testaments, I think, a little bit of what happened to Aunt Lydia to get her here. And I talked about this before because I think it was pretty obvious that the aunts wouldn't just behave like that, like incarcerators. Like prison guards and torturers out of nowhere. Something had to happen to them to get them there. And what I talked about before is that sorry, mic stuff. What I talked about before is that there's probably an ant school, in the same way that there is a handmaid's school and a Martha school. There was probably a place where they put all these people, potentially already religious women, where they put all of them to train them in how to treat the handmaids. And I read this stuff a while ago, so maybe it's not too clear in my memory, but from what I remember, all of these people were put in a place with absolutely zero conditions and were basically buried or under torture and ill treatment and a lot of bullshit. And then Aunt Lydia and a select few of other women in that group were selected to be aunts. And eventually they probably had training as well, and they were, indoctrinated into what to do, and they became aunts. This is one of the reasons why I find it so annoying that Aunt Lydia seems to believe the system so much, because when she's talking to Serena and Commander Lawrence and all these people, she truly seems to believe that the handmaids would be given a status in society, as Econo wives. She seems to believe the system to a certain extent. She seems to be actually devout to this system, which is insane to me. And whether she is truly devout or it's all a farce, very good one, eventually she will turn. And we know that she will turn because the Testaments say that she's an ally to Mayday. So knowing that Aunt Lydia also went through torture herself, knowing that she has been devout, I don't know which one it is, to this system for so many years, and that she's such a cruel enforcer. I don't know if you guys remember this. I don't know if you remember every detail of every season, but Aunt Lydia tried to kill Janine by making the handmaids stone her. Aunt Lydia, when June didn't stone her to death because she was pregnant, so she knew she was protected, she literally made them stand in the rain with the stones like this, torturing them. And then when they found out that June was pregnant, they took them all inside and they burned each one of them as punishment. They took their eyes out, they took limbs. Aunt Lydia has been an enforcer of torture for so many years. I don't care how, like, potentially a decent person she is, or how much she loves Janine, or how much she's trying. You can't do all that for years and still, have common human morality. However, Aunt Lydia has kind of been turning for seasons, and it's with the love that she has developed for Janine. I don't know if it's love or sympathy or just the simple fact that her humanity is fighting for her life inside of her, but she clearly has gotten close to Janine. She clearly pities Janine and feels bad for her. When Janine asks her for her daughter, she wants to. Like, if she could, she would. Or maybe if she wanted to, she would. No, if she could, I believe she would give her daughter. But Lydia, is still operating within the values and the, rules of the system. So she immediately says she can't. And right now, the Lydia that we have right now is still devout to the system, is still obeying the system, is still reacting within the rules of the system. So when Janine tells her, okay, I want my daughter, if you want to help me, this is what I want my daughter, Aunt Lydia is immediately, you can't have her. This is Gilead. You're a handmaid, now a Jezebel. That's not your daughter. She doesn't even say it's not her daughter because she knows. Everyone knows. She just says that she can't do that for her. So this is the belief system from Aunt Lydia right now. She is bending, but she is still very much with Gilead. Now, it could be Janine's dad who turns Aunt Lydia. It could. There's a rebellion. Janine is seen as a handmaid, so she potentially was in the wedding, had a knife with her, potentially was in the red center, potentially is within the handmaids that are going to be hung. I don't know. This goddamn verb has been haunting me for weeks. She could participate in a rebellion. She could die in the rebellion. She could die in Aunt Lydia's arms because Aunt Lydia is there in the hanging. This could be the reason Aunt Lydia turns to the side of Mayday. It could. But to me, it would be a cop-out. Because then it would be just like Nick and just like Lawrence, where they turned because of someone they loved so much and lost. Like, it wouldn't be because she realized the amount of bullshit she's been involved with. It wouldn't be because she realized the horrible, terrible things she has been doing. It wouldn't be... I'm getting so many goddamn calls like today. Well, I don't know what kind of a marketing place got my number today, but Jesus, it's been like 10 calls. Sorry, it just appeared on my phone because I'm recording with my phone. God damn it, leave me alone. What was I saying? It would be a cop-out if Aunt Lydia turned due to Janine's death, because that would be a motivator that would kind of direct the guilt towards Gilead. Look at how horrible these people are that they killed this person that I love. Look at how horrible these commanders, these guards are that killed an innocent girl that did so much for them. Look at what a horrible thing Gilead did. And that would be the reason she turns, the reason that she starts to help Mayday is because she doesn't want this to happen to any other girl. But that would completely put the guilt onto Gilead, onto the person who killed Janine, because Aunt Lydia, if she tries to save her and can't, or if Janine dies in Aunt Lydia's arms or whatever, Aunt Lydia would feel like a protector. And this like framework in her mind that she has, that she tried to do everything she could for Janine, that she tried to protect her, that she tried to help her, tried to get her a safe place and everything, it would remain in her mind. Like, this would still be like her way of thinking about the situation, is that she did her best. She did everything she could for Janine, and in the end she failed because Gilead is so bad. Like, that to me would be an absolute cop-out, because she wouldn't learn shit. This is what I want to happen. This is what I feel like would make Aunt Lydia's character that much stronger for the Testaments. Instead of being Janine's death the motivator that makes her finally turn to Mayday, it's a final confrontation between Janine and Aunt Lydia, because we know both of them are going to be, or potentially, Aunt Lydia for sure is at the hanging, maybe Janine is there as well. A final confrontation during the beginning of this revolt that starts at the hanging, as we know, as we've seen in the previews, if they are not trying to confuse us. a final confrontation between Janine and Aunt Lydia, where Janine finally has the opportunity to go for her. And here I think they could pull a joker out of their asses, because I think we will see Emily again. And someone commented, and very brightly, that we hear Emily's voice in a trailer and we know she is with Mayday. So if this entire attack is coordinated with Mayday and the US Army, Emily could be there. And we know who Emily is going for. We know that Emily is going for Aunt Lydia. And it would be just absolutely amazing if Emily was at the hanging with Mayday and she went for Aunt Lydia, and Aunt Lydia reached out to Janine to protect her, because Aunt Lydia has been protecting Janine for so long. And that's the moment when Aunt Lydia realizes that she is not to Janine who she thinks she is. And Janine has the opportunity to protect Aunt Lydia and decides not to, and tells her in her face, "You were my abuser. You were my incarcerator. You are my torturer. You did horrible things to me. You forced me to be a sex slave. You are part in the system that oppressed me." And of course, Janine probably is not aware of the fact that Aunt Lydia also went through a lot of shit before being an aunt. And I really want this confrontation where Aunt Lydia finally realizes the part she is playing. Finally realizes that not only was she abused by the system, she is taking part in the oppression of other women. I want her to face the person that she technically loves the most, that she has protected the most. And I want her to see anger and disgust and fear and whatever in the face of this person that she supposedly loves. I want her to be able to recognize in the face of this person, I want her to be able to recognize how much he has hurt her, how much they can never be friends or close or anything like that. I want her to be able to recognize all of the bullshit that she did to this girl over the years, and to realize that she is part of the problem and that she needs to change if she wants to change the system. And then she aligns with Mayday. And maybe if Emily is there and they have like some kind of close encounter, maybe that could be the starting link for the Mayday Aunt Lydia alliance. I just really hope it's not with Janine's death, because I want Aunt Lydia to learn the right lesson. And I think she has potential to actually realize everything that she's done wrong so far, because this is where I think she would do better than Serena, right? Because Serena has been confronted with this through June and through her time in Canada and her time with Mark and whoever else. Serena was confronted with the people in the train. She was confronted with how much she took part in the oppression of other women in Gilead. And she had the opportunity to realize that she was part of the problem, but she never did. She always defended Gilead till the very end, to the point where these people were threatening her with her baby, and she still defended the ideals of Gilead. And what I really hope happens is that, faced with the same confrontation, faced with the confrontation of everything she's done to these women, Aunt Lydia has the realization that Serena could not, because Serena didn't go through everything that Aunt Lydia went through. And I really hope that's what turns her in the end. Not that Janine dies and she gets angry at the system, but that she realizes she is part of the system, that she is part of the problem, and that if she wants to actually do something against it, she needs to change. She needs to be the one that tackles it from the inside, or something like that. This is what I want for Aunt Lydia. Bottom line is, they will make the Testaments. They are already working on the production of the show. And Aunt Lydia is part of that cast, has to be, because she's a central character in the Testaments. And I think that they could definitely show her turning or aligning with Mayday as flashbacks during the Testaments. But just think about it. Think about what goddamn amazing cliffhanger it would be if at the end, or very close to the end of season 6 of The Handmaid's Tale, Aunt Lydia aligns with Mayday, like shakes hands with Mark or something like that. And that's one of the final images of the whole series. But more than anything else, I just want Janine to survive. I just want her to walk out of there, take Charlotte with her, and leave for Canada, Alaska, Hawaii, wherever outside of Gilead, Paris. If anyone deserves to go to Paris, it's Janine and Charlotte. Don't you even get me started on them. Because you see, in the last episode, in the scene between Janine and Aunt Lydia, I need you to recognize the fact that this actress, the actress playing Janine, is working with one eye only, and that one eye spoke so goddamn loud that baby girl did not need two. She didn't need two eyes, she only needed one, because I saw in that one eye the amount of pain and torment and rage that she has, and I just so hope she uses it, and she's the final catalyst in turning Lydia, not because she dies, but because she actually gets through Lydia and makes her realize her part in her oppression and actually changes through that. That Aunt Lydia doesn't need someone close to them dying to realize how wrong this is. That she can realize it just by believing the words of the person that she says she loves the most.